up, and welcome to another episode of Boujee Banter. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about
losing your virginity.
So, I am mainly doing this to talk about my own trauma and heal from it, but as well to give you guys an informative piece on what to look out for. I want to warn the girls out there, especially my chocolate girls. So, I don't know about you, but my parents never gave me the sex talk until I was already having sex. We had a firm understanding in my household, no boys allowed, and it was just expected of me to know not to do anything that would get my ass whooped, okay? So I wouldn't. I honestly, especially in high school, I was a big dweeb. I was on the dance team, so I knew the popular kids, but I never really associated with them. I had my small circle of friends at the time that I really stuck to. Outside of that, boys who? Boys where? Especially back then in 2014 through 2018, they were not interested in me. They were interested in light-skinned Chelsea and even lighter-skinned Becky, if you know what I mean. It was kind of a situation where I didn't even have options, even if I wanted to have options. And sure, there were people that I was like crushing on, but they never gave me the time of day. So really my parents had nothing to worry about because I wasn't doing anything anyways. But when I turned 18, everything totally changed for me because I was out of high school and it dawned on me I haven't been living at all. I didn't go to parties, barely. I stuck to my curriculum, and outside of that I was just morning practices for football games and shit like that and going home. I wasn't doing anything outside of the norm. So I decided at 18 years old, I'm gonna start living a little bit. I'm gonna get a little drunk, I'm gonna get a little high, I'm gonna have a little fun. With that comes a lot of terrible decisions, but it's all decisions you kind of need to make that will eventually shape you into the adult you are, hopefully a good one, hopefully. But before I get into what my experience was, I want to give a sound word of advice for my young females out there, especially if you're still a virgin or if you're being celibate, doesn't matter. Do not make any decisions in that moment. If things are getting hot and heavy and you just aren't sure, in the words of my dad, if you have to think about it twice, the answer is no. But yeah, that's number one. Do not make any choices on having sex if you are not ready, because it's not necessarily like an end all be all. Once you lose your virginity or use goods, it's not what it is. But there are a lot of factors here that I feel like do not get talked about enough, especially in a Black household, about why you should just stay away from sex until you're really ready. For one, the emotional attachment is real. I always thought, well, you know what, if sex can just be sex, it doesn't have to be this thing, because based on what my friends were telling me, because they were sexually active, it was just sex. It didn't matter. So I thought, okay, it's just sex, it doesn't matter. Lies. It matters. Especially if it's your first time, it matters. So make sure whoever you are laying down with is the person you're ready to be bonded with for a little bit. Another thing is protection. Protection should have been the first one, but protection. Oh dear Lord Jesus, oh my God, protection, okay? I cannot stress that enough. Protection, I think that speaks for itself. Protection. Another piece of advice I would have to give when it comes to losing your virginity is to have a good friend or support system that you can actually talk to about it when it happens, because you're gonna need a lot of therapy. But yeah, you're gonna want someone that you can talk to about it, because for one, you might have these exciting, liberating feelings, and talking to yourself is only gonna take you so far. So having a friend that you can really confide in and tell all the juicy details to will really help you in understanding what the hell just happened. And it's also good just in case the experience was not good at all. That way you can still have someone that's there to support you, give you a hug, let you cry a little bit, and tell you everything's gonna be okay. But the reason why I'm giving such sound advice is because your girl has been through it. I'm 22 years old, and I had my first sexual experience when I was 18. When I say sexual experience, I mean sexual intercourse. If you are my relative right now watching this, it's on you, bro. You clicked on the video. Don't watch. Starting now, do not watch. You're not gonna wanna hear this. So when I was 18 years old, I was still living with my mom, and there is this beautiful, horrific app called Tinder. Tinder, I thought, was an app where you could just meet people and potentially find a new boyfriend or boy toys, whatever. It doesn't mean you're gonna go all the way with them, but just, you know, flirt. It's always fun to flirt, so I thought. And when I got Tinder, it obviously shows you people that are nearby you that have Tinder accounts, and if you're a match or not, you know, swipe left or right. So I was swiping and swiping and swiping. I found this guy who ended up being a match with me, and I thought he was just the cutest thing ever. So everyone kind of has a type, right? My type is traditionally Hispanic and Mexican men because I don't know, they've always had a thing for me and I've always had a thing for them, and they can keep up with me. And the only reason why I never really went for a black man is because my whole life, except for now, of course, because I finally stepped into my beauty. Back then when I was still in my like awkward, didn't know where I fit in phase, black men would tear me down. And by that I mean calling me too dark all the fucking time. Anytime I try to make a move on a guy or show the slightest interest, sometimes if I even wasn't interested, they would make it known that I was too dark. I was too dark. And looking at me now, I'm beautiful. I'm chocolatey brown. It's not like I'm midnight black. And even if I was, I'd still be beautiful. But they had a habit of just reiterating and sticking it into my brain that I was just too dark for them. So going on with my life, I kind of just never was ever physically attracted to black men. I think some are very handsome and some are very sexy, but for me, it's a no. Back on track with the story here. He was Mexican and he happened to live, so Tinder told me, close to where I was living at the time. So we matched and he immediately messaged me. I messaged back and it was a lot of flirting, a lot of talking, and very, very quickly, which is a red flag, if they ask you to come over and to hang out, watch TV, play video games, watch a movie, it's a trap. It's never what it's supposed to be. Go out in public, go do something in public, and then take your ass home. Do not go to his place and do not let him come to yours. So he asked me if I would come over and we could like hang out and get to know each other and all that good stuff. And me being very naive, like I said, I never had the talk before. I was like, yeah, sure, like let's hang out. Of course, in my brain, I knew something was gonna happen, like maybe some kissing, which is even more riskier and like not great because you can get things from kissing too. Not only that, but people's saliva stays in your mouth for months, science tells us. So that's nasty. But when I was a teenager, it was hot. So I told him, yeah, let's meet up. We can do it at this time, at this day, yada, yada, yada. So we met up and he ended up looking exactly like his photos. There was no catfishing. And I remember he told me, and this is when I should have turned around and went back home. But I remember walking in, he told me I had to like duck down under the security cameras in his house because his aunt and I think his aunt and uncle he was living with at the time, they had like cameras in the house, which is fine. But had they saw me walking through the house, they would have obviously had an issue with someone being in their house. So I had to crawl on the floor to get through the house to get to his room. After we did that and I made it to his room, it was immediate makeout. Like there was no talking. And honestly, I had never gotten that attention from a guy before ever. So for me, it was exciting. I didn't fight it. I was just like, I'm attracted to him. He's attracted to me. Let's make out, whatever. But everything was cool until he started to try to touch in places and stuff like that. And I was a little bit uncomfortable, so I would move his hand away or kind of like move myself in a way to where he couldn't easily access areas and stuff. But men, they just know how to make their way. So it was just a very uncomfortable situation, to be honest. And this is where things kind of get not so fun. So he pretty much asked if I want to try or like if I want to have sex. And this is the confusing part on if like, should I, shouldn't I don't know this person. But at the same time, it's exciting, but I'm scared. And it's just like a lot of emotions. So I really was not thinking as clearly as I could have been had I made the informed decision before walking into that situation. But I didn't say no and I didn't say yes. So there was fondling, there was touching of sorts. And it was fine at first until the actual action came about. When he tried, once I realized how much pain it was actually going to be, I told him no. I said, I don't think we should. This hurts. I'm good. And he just kept saying, well, come on, no, it's okay, it'll get better, just keep trying, it's okay, one more time. And like he would take breaks and like talk to me, I guess, and then like try again. It was just like a really weird thing. So I don't really talk about my virginity story because I know inwardly that it's probably borderline not good, but it's part of the experience. We tried again, it happened. It happened. I knew on the inside I had made a very big decision that I don't think I was ready for. So that's why I'm saying, like I said in the first beginning part of this video, please know who you're being intimate with, because it can get real wrong real fast like this. Be very careful and thoughtful with who you give your virginity to and how it's done. I know a lot of people think it's supposed to be like the movies and with candles and a private room or some shit, but sometimes it's really not like that. And I happen to have a bad experience, but, and I know a lot of people have had bad experiences. So if you're still a virgin and you're watching this and you're curious, there's nothing wrong with being curious, but just be very, very thoughtful and intentional with how you're gonna do it and who it's with. That way you won't look back and have that regret. That one thing for me personally has been something that honestly led to a lot of other bad decisions throughout my life, just because of that one person that ruined that experience for me. And it's also obviously 50-50, my fault too, because I could have made better choices. I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it is what it is. But my piece of advice, if you're thinking about it, if you're considering it, if you're curious about it, just sit down and really ask yourself, are you ready? And it's not just sex. It's not just a moment in time. Everyone does it. Yeah, sure, everyone does it, but not everyone does it right. Just listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, because your intuition is never wrong. Had I listened to mine, I would never have done it, because my intuition was telling me to run. It's telling me to grab my shit and run out the door, but I didn't. It's okay though. No, it's really okay. Anyways, that's the end of this video, guys. I hope you've learned something from this video or taken some advice that I've said, because trust me, it's coming from one person who really does care to another. I want you guys to be proactive in your choices and to really be thoughtful and considerate of yourselves at the end of the day. If you guys enjoyed this video and want a part 2 of what happened with me and that guy, let me know down below. I will definitely make a video. I'll have to sit down and make it a whole separate thing because it's kind of long. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. You made it this far in the video. What are you doing? And until next time.